Ladies and gents, welcome back. His first week on the job as Conservative Party leader. The media is accusing Pierre Poilievre of using American-style politics while at the same time using American-style journalism tactics. Yesterday, he was interrupted while trying to make a statement to the public. And here is the scene right here.
Merci beaucoup d'être revenu aujourd'hui. Thank you very much for coming. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Appreciate your presence here today.
As you can hear, there's a journalist yelling at him as he's trying to make his statement. This isn't normal protocol for this scenario. What normally happens here is the politician in question would come out, make a statement, and then afterwards there would be questions and then a scrum. But journalists taking to American-style politics of interrupting the person speaking here.
Before I begin, let me just say that thank you very much. I'm being heckled here by. Thank you very much for your congratulations. Thank you very much for your questions. I'm going to begin my remarks now. Justin Trudeau is out of touch, and Canadians are out of money. The cost of government is driving up the cost of living. On top of that, Trudeau proposes yet more spending to bid up costs even further. The more he spends, the more things cost. It is just inflation. And here we are today with 40-year highs in inflation, where Canadians are spending more just to feed themselves, to heat their homes, and to buy a home in the very first place. The reason that, look,
he's still shouting.
Yeah. So I mean, we have basically a Liberal Heckler who snuck in here today to, well, apparently, right. Are you going to let me make my statement?
From the guy who actually reported first on the Prime Minister breaking the law.
Yeah. He won't shut up.
Like to ask a question.
So he's grandstanding here and trying to win the day here as a reporter, trying to make a political statement, I suppose, is what he's trying to get at. But it's out of turn. It's unusual for Canadian politics. And I think Pierre Poilievre is handling himself pretty well here. Of course, later on social media, many on the left taking aim at Pierre Poilievre and saying that he had outrageous backlash. And this is why I'm showing this clip in its entirety. So you can see what his response was. I think it was an appropriate response to a person who's stepping out of line in their line of duty.
I've actually never seen you heckling the Prime Minister.
Ask Minister
Never seen you heckling the Prime Minister. Look, bottom line is this.
I'm going to take some questions at the end of the statement.
Yes, I will be taking 2 questions at the very end. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
So I'm going to start my statement again, and hopefully this time without interruption from the Liberal heckling gathering here, and we'll speak directly to Canadians so that they can hear what the new Leader of the Opposition has to say. I'll begin again. The cost of government...
And then he was able to continue his speech after that. So the journalist in question here... Oh, sorry, this is Jim Acosta, who's famous for this in the United States. No, David Akin, protege of Jim Acosta, apparently. Chief political correspondent, Global News. My office is in Ottawa, Canada, but I work wherever, he says. Global News reporter melts down during Poilievre presser. This is from the Counter Signal. A mainstream media Global News reporter is having difficulty coping with new Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre and interrupted his Tuesday press conference several times. Pierre Poilievre was speaking about inflation and housing costs when Global News reporter David Akin began his meltdown, interrupting repeatedly until Poilievre had enough. Look, we basically have a Liberal Heckler who snuck in here today, Poilievre said. Oh, I'm a heckler. I'm David Akin, and I work for Global News, Heckler Akin responded. Are you going to let me make my statement? I've actually never seen a heckler, you heckling the Prime Minister before, Poilievre said before Akin interrupted yet again. Rupa Subramaniana here on Twitter saying, why is this journalist interrupting Pierre Poilievre in the middle of his remarks? Does this happen when Trudeau is speaking? Some legacy media have been having a meltdown since he became leader of the Conservative Party. Can't even imagine how they react if he becomes PM. And a lot of people going out on Twitter with the hashtag PPenvy, because the Liberals right now have PPenvy over Pierre Poilievre. And that's a funny one. Akin continued whining and talking over the new Conservative leader. You get 2 questions at the end. I'll take questions at the end. Thank you very much, Poilievre said. Poilievre chirped Akin one more time, calling him a liberal heckler again. He then said he would restart his announcement. Now, here's a tweet from Anthony Koch. Anthony Koch is the press secretary spokesperson for Pierre Poilievre transition team. And he tweeted out, at a press conference today, in combating Justin Trudeau inflation, David Akin told me to tell Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre to go do something to himself. I'm not going to read that out loud. Kids might be in the room. Later, he erupted in a yelling spasm to try and prevent Poilievre from even beginning his press conference. This is Global News. Anthony Koch, press secretary for Pierre Poilievre, shed more light on Akin's temper tantrum in that tweet that we just shared there. On Saturday, Poilievre won the Conservative Party leadership race and became the official leader. He won his first ballot with 68% of voter support and an even higher margin than won by former Conservative Prime Minister Stephen Harper during his leadership victory. It was a crazy turnout, 300,000 first choice votes. So if you're familiar with how the vote worked, you had 5 choices, and you have the first, second, third, and so on choices. You can choose all the candidates, but you go by based on what is your first, second, third, fourth, and fifth choices. And just based on first choice votes, Pierre Poilievre got 300,000 votes. This is insane. Recent polls show Canadians are growing weary of the mainstream media. A new Main Street research poll found that most Albertans prefer alternative and independent media sources. Of the respondents, 42% prefer alternative media sources, while 33% rely on mainstream media sources. Another 26% said they were not sure, as reported by True North. And well, we'll see how many people tune into this as opposed to the CBC, Global News, and the likes. Now, we had way later in the day, David Akin took to Twitter to, well, formally make an apology. Now, this was after so many blue check marks all over the Twitterverse were coming out in support for David Akin and railing on Pierre Poilievre. He actually came to his senses and thought, hey, maybe my career might be on the line for this one. That was out of line. He says, lots of viewers called me about today's Parliament Hill presser. Many said I was rude and disrespectful to Pierre Poilievre. I agree. I am sorry for that. We all want politicians to answer questions, but there are better ways of making that point. So at least stepping back from his Jim Acosta point of view from the beginning. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. Did he only do that because of the backlash? Was he actually trying to go for something? I don't know. You can't read people's minds. But David Akin absolutely did what he did. He did come forward and apologize for it afterwards. But we're seeing lots of accusations of American-style politics, but we're seeing more actual movement towards the American-style media. Let me know in the comments. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet to the channel. Hit that notification bell. It lets you know when I go live, and hit that like button. We'll see you in the next one. Keep on trucking.